My husband and I both loved driving into the night, especially on road trips. Whenever we had time, we would go for a spin nearby. We particularly liked roads that were smooth, but devoid of cars. One night, we decided to drive out. Heading north, we aimed for a town, just half an hour from the city. The roads there twisted and turned, but they were flat, perfect for adventure. The town nestled against the mountains. If you followed the main road north, you'd reach the mountain. Around PM that night, the small town was eerily quiet. There were hardly any cars left. But we kept driving north. No houses, no shops flanked the road. We entered a winding path, slowly climbing the mountain. About 15 minutes later, we saw something in the dark. A car parked by the roadside, its hazard lights blinking. As we crept closer, we realized it was a truck. Its front facing us ominously. I thought, encountering a truck in this desolate place was unsettling. A chill ran down my spine. As we approached the truck, I told my husband maybe we should turn back. I felt an ominous presence. But it was too late. We were already beside the truck. My husband stopped the car. A man with wild blonde hair, nearly 30, approached our window. Something felt very wrong. I urged my husband not to roll down the window. He seemed to share my fear, so he kept the window shut. My husband shouted through the glass, "What's wrong?" The man replied, "My car broke down. It won't start and my phone is dead. Can you help me?" At that moment, my husband's guard went up. He asked, "What's wrong with your car?" But the man didn't answer. He kept urging my husband to get out and help. Then he started getting friendly, like an old buddy. But my husband replied, "I really can't help you. I don't know much about cars, but I can call someone to come help you." The man immediately rejected that. He insisted my husband come down and take a look. At that moment, I glanced at his truck. It seemed like someone was moving inside. I quickly turned to my husband and said, "Let's get out of here, right now." Seeing my fear, my husband shifted into reverse, trying to turn around. But the man dashed to our back, blocking our way. His face was tense. He paced nervously. My husband had no choice but to drive forward. The road was too narrow. We couldn't turn around. After about 2 minutes of driving, the roadside widened. There was enough space to turn around. Once we did, we headed back to where we came from, but I was terrified of passing that spot again. And my phone had no signal. It felt so unsafe. I thought maybe his car really was broken, or perhaps there were others in the truck. He never said he was alone. But something felt very wrong. We quickly reached a place where the truck had stopped, but it was gone. We continued driving forward. After about 5 minutes, we still saw no trace, yet we were sure. We had passed where the truck had been, and we hadn't driven far at all. It was impossible not to see it now, even though the truck was gone. I felt a strange relief, but I was still afraid. If the truck had truly broken down, how could they have moved it so quickly? I needed to calm myself. Then I told my husband, maybe he fixed that truck, or it suddenly started working. That's why they drove away. We kept driving, slowly reaching a straight road. Then I saw, not far ahead, a truck without its lights, parked by the roadside. We saw something moving behind the truck. I asked my husband, "Why isn't that truck turning on any lights?" At that distance, we couldn't see clearly. But soon, we saw two shadows moving to the other side of the truck, then squatting down. They were acting suspiciously. As we got closer, just as we passed them, my husband pressed the gas, driving right past them. They both stood up. I saw one of them, the man who had spoken to us earlier. They both looked surprised. One even chased us for a bit. But soon we left them behind. I was still terrified, glancing back occasionally, but it was too dark to see anything. Suddenly, I saw headlights flicker in the darkness behind us. They had been keeping their lights off. Now racing to catch up, our car sped ahead. Before long, we shook them off. But I kept looking back, afraid they might turn off their lights again, then follow us. After driving for a while, we finally returned to the city. We immediately called the police, reporting everything that had just happened. But it had all occurred so quickly. We were both terrified and didn't think to remember the license plate. In the end, we could only give a vague description of the truck and the man's appearance. I don't know what their intentions were. Looking back, it's truly chilling. They could have had weapons. Or maybe they planned to block our path with their truck. Or maybe they would have left something on the road to flatten our tires. Thankfully, when my husband encountered them a second time, he decisively sped away. For safety's sake, we rarely go out for drives at night now. And we definitely avoid secluded areas.